Here are a few intriguing Michael Bublé facts. The voice coach married his wife, Luisa Lapalato, they held three separate wedding ceremonies and established a hockey rink in their basement. His basement, and he was almost attacked by polar bears on a Canadian beach. He described it as being almost polar. Bear's lunch. Kelly Clarkson asked a spicy margarita singer about a crazy story. She had heard about him, almost dashing straight onto a polar bear's dinner plate during her January 2024 appearance on The Kelly Clarkson Show, and Bublé gave all the facts after filming a movie with actor Barry Pepper. Bublé almost saw a herd of polar bears on a snowy beach in Manitoba, Canada, as he described on The Kelly Clarkson Show. How nearly did this occur? Bublé claims that the actors and crew chose to run down the beach after drinking at the wrap party, and that's all. I believe that right now we're thinking, you know what? We should do it. We ought to run along the shore, Bublé reminded Clarkson. And then a person who lived there just started cursing as he hit him, and another guy ran down this beach, literally yelling and cursing at us, screaming bloody murder. That is, yeah, we didn't realize we were running to our certain death. Bublé joked before going on to clarify, because the beach was lined with polar bears. Indeed, they are the most hostile. But my goodness, they're adorable. They're beautiful, I said. Clarkson said in those Coca-Cola commercials, they're like Snuggle, but they will eat you. Bublé was careful to explain. So that is true. Clarkson was informed by Bublé. I occasionally think about how close I came to being a miniature polar bear supper alongside Pepper, Annabella, Pugatuk, James Cromwell, and John Gray. Bublé played Hap in the 2003 film The Snow Walker. The survival thriller was shot in a number of Canadian locations, including Churchill, Manitoba, where Bublé told Clarkson talks about his near-fatal brush with the incident involved a polar bear. National Geographic also claims that Churchill is regarded as the polar bear capital of the world. Bublé appears to be popular with a particular set of gorillas, even if the singer from Haven't Met You Yet managed to avoid being mauled by polar bears in Manitoba. The resident gorillas, Yanika, Ikini, and Motaba at Wero Open Range Zoo seems to be a huge fan of the Grammy winner's holiday tunes. And in 2020, Bublé sang some of his Christmas songs for them. Bengali, a gorilla keeper at the Australian Zoo, stated in a video of Michael Bublé's visit that the boys will instantly start pleasure grumbling and sit nice and calm and relaxed when we play his CDs. According to our theory, his singing's lovely and low tones kind of resemble their grooming enjoyment. We believe he must truly connect with the sound of them humming small food tunes while they eat. It seems that they occasionally play my Christmas music for them before bed. In the video, Bublé continued, I was singing to them, and I had no idea what would happen. It was amazing. The reaction was amazing. It turns out that Bublé is regarded by all animals as the king of Christmas. With his smooth vocals and timeless charm, Michael Bublé has enchanted audiences worldwide, filling performance halls, and both holiday playlists feature Bublé's music. However, the crooner's easygoing demeanor conceals a surprising aspect of his character, an adventurous nature, which almost made him polar bear lunch on a beach during a once-in-a-lifetime Arctic adventure that he now recounts with a mixture of fear, wonder, and a good deal of bashfulness laughing. Let's go back to the Grammy-winning musician who is typically spotted wearing tuxedos under stage lights, finding himself in a completely different kind of spotlight on a snowy and icy beach at the edge of the world, armed only with a parka, dangerously undeveloped fear of apex predators, and a misguided sense of Canadian invincibility. It all started when Bublé consented to play a concert for troops stationed in the Arctic to raise morale at a Canadian military outpost in one of the countries he traveled to, one of the country's most northern locations. He was ecstatic. Long after the ice had melted from his boots, he said in an interview with a Vancouver radio station, I thought, what better way to say thank you? You to the men and women serving our country than to go sing for them in the snow. However, the thrill didn't end there. Bublé chose to take a guide diversion into the Arctic wilderness with a small group of pals, including a documentary filmmaker, an experienced outdoor enthusiast, and his somewhat hesitant cousin Paul, since he had a few more days to spare. Bublé recalls. It sounded like an epic Canadian adventure. The northern lights, snowmobiles, and icy tundra. You know that whole enchanted Narnia's feeling. Unbeknownst to as for me, I was also trying out for Frozen. Survival Edition on Baffin Island, where the land ends and the Arctic Ocean stretches out in frozen defiance. They pitched their tent close to a secluded beach. It was one of those lovely, eerily deserted places that even when you're by yourself, making you whisper. Bublé recalled. I thought I was painting when I stepped out of the tent. That morning, the snow remained unaltered. The sea was simply still. It had seemed as though God had put the world on hold. Wearing a heavy down jacket and drinking coffee from a campfire mug, Bublé strolled towards the coast, entranced by the silence. He then noticed the tracks, which were large oval indentations in the snow that led from the sea ice to a neighboring rock outcrops and backs. Bublé laughed at his own foolishness. As he said, I looked down at these prints and thought, wow, big dog indeed. No, not a canine, not even close. Soon, the outdoor enthusiast, Russ, an experienced Arctic guide with more beard than a grizzly, came roaring out of his tent, binoculars clamped to his eyes. Now back up. Return here, Michael. A polar bear, that is, Russ yelled. Bublé initially believed it to be a prank. Hey, that's hilarious, Russ, I said. Then I caught sight of his face. Russ, it wasn't funny, face. Russ had a war face. During the last night, a polar bear walked by the camp. To make matters worse, Russ estimated that the bear might still be in the area. In contrast to their shyness, brown relatives, polar bears are assertive, inquisitive, and most importantly, predators. There is still room for humans, Russ said coldly. These things don't run from you. They'll follow you around. They'll devour you. Wearing that black parka makes you look like a seal. Swooning millions of people and pruning Christmas classics, Michael Bublé suddenly realized he might be a part of the ecology, in a way he never imagined. The hours that followed were a mix of protocol and terror, while the rest of the squad packed up camp as quickly as possible. Russ equipped himself with a rifle and a flare pistol. Bublé, meanwhile, couldn't help but jest while in what he called nervous showbiz mode. He recalled that he continued to sing. It's beginning to look a lot like lunch meat, but in all honesty, my knees were trembling. The headlines, Jazz Singer Becomes Jazz Snacking in the Arctic, kept coming to mind. Mom would never have been able to forgive me. As the guides searched the horizon, they held together on a spot of higher ground. There was a lot of stress. It was clear to everyone that they were being monitored. It was a white figure, serene, unhurried, and frightening, and it emerged around 300 feet distant, almost blending into the snow. A male polar bear, probably weighing over 1,200 pounds, was quietly making its way towards the camp to investigate the commotion and sense. It didn't snarl. It didn't roar. In somber retellings, Bublé remarked, it was just like a ghost with teeth.